Let me talk to the person that's tired, not lazy, not undisciplined, not uncommitted, just tired. Maybe you're tired of trying, you're tired of hoping, tired of showing up with faith and feeling like nothing is showing up for you. I know that place. I stood there late at night after doing everything that I knew to do right, asking questions I never said out loud. Did I misunderstand this? Did I hear wrong? Was it foolish of me to believe? Because there comes a moment in every meaningful pursuit where the danger isn't failure, it's interpretation. The question isn't, can I do this? In fact, it's quieter than that. It's more reasonable, it's more dangerous. Maybe this isn't meant for me. And that sentence doesn't sound like quitting. It sounds like wisdom, it sounds like maturity, it sounds like self-protection. But that sentence, quiet, logical, well-intentioned, has ended more destinies than failure ever could. And here's the truth we avoid. Unreasonable faith is not proven when things go well. It is revealed when everything says stop. This is part 3 of our Unreasonable Faith series. I'm glad you're here. Let's do it. You get to a point where faith stops feeling noble. Early faith is intoxicating. You feel clarity, you feel purpose, you feel momentum. You finally say, this is it, I'm going for it. And then reality shows up. Not dramatically, not violently, silently. Emails don't get answered, doors don't open, the phone doesn't ring. And faith, something that once felt courageous, starts to feel embarrassing. You replay conversations, you second-guess decisions. You start wondering if you're forcing something that was never meant to happen in the first place. Questions like, am I being stubborn? Am I misinterpreting resistance? And why does it feel so hard if this is right? And if we're honest, it's not a stupid question. It's logical, it's wise, and even responsible. But the mistake that quietly ruins people is they interpret resistance as redirection. Resistance is not a prophecy, it's pressure. And pressure doesn't tell you where to go. It reveals what you actually believe. Because when belief is celebrated, everyone has it. But when belief is ignored, that's when its strength is exposed. And there's a part that no one posts about. You don't see it on the Instagram feed, rarely on YouTube. And that part is the middle, after the excitement fades and before the breakthrough arrives. This is when the support gets quiet, when the crowds thin out, and when affirmations disappear. You're not failing, you're not succeeding, you're just standing. And that silence messes with you a little bit because silence feels like judgment. Silence feels like evidence. Silence feels like life saying, this isn't working. But often silence isn't rejection, it's separation. It is the very place where the half-committed leave. It's where approval-based faith dies. And it's where we are forced to confront what we were actually depending on. Faith that needs reassurance cannot survive transformation. I think I'm gonna say that again. Faith that needs constant reassurance will not survive transformation. But it is unreasonable faith that keeps going even when the emotional payoff is gone. One of my favorite stories is revolving around the actor Jim Carrey. Before Jim Carrey was famous, before the movies and the money and the applause, he was sleeping in his car. He wasn't figuring things out broke. He wasn't in between opportunities broke. He was car broke. And during that season, he did something that looked ridiculous. He wrote himself a check, $10 million. And in the memo, he put, for acting services rendered. He dated it for years into the future. Now, when you're sleeping in your car, an action like that wasn't cockiness. An action like that wasn't hype. But an action like that was faith that nobody was there to witness. Every audition he failed, every room he walked out of rejected, every time someone told him, not this time, the check didn't change. And here's the part people skip. Do you know how foolish that must have felt? For him to be walking around with a $10 million check in his wallet, knowing on the outside it looks like your situation isn't improving? Do you know how lonely it is to carry a vision on the inside of you that the world doesn't validate yet? That is unreasonable faith. Not believing when it's impressive, but believing even when it costs you a little dignity. Years later, almost to the date, he was paid $10 million for a role. Was the miracle money? Or was the miracle that he didn't quit in seasons when quitting made sense? Rejection hurts because we personalize it. You don't hear that wasn't a right fit. You hear you're not enough. And when rejection stacks up, it starts to feel prophetic almost, like it's telling you something about your future. So people begin to self-edit. They stop sharing ideas, they stop asking questions, and they stop risking visibility. And it's not because they were told no, but because they decided that no meant never. And if you don't get anything else from this video, get this. Rejection is not a verdict, it's feedback. And feedback always speaks to fit and not worth. So this must mean the real danger isn't rejection, rather letting rejection rewrite your identity and how you see yourself. And here's a distinction that will save your dream and your calling. Feedback says adjust, finality says stop. And many quit because they confuse the two. They assign meaning way too early. They treat one closed door as the end of the story. But if rejection were final, no one great would exist. Breakthroughs always come after repeated no's. But the difference between those that win and those that don't is they stayed long enough for their belief to outlast their emotion. Most people quit when things are bad. They quit when things get quiet. They quit when there's no encouragement, when there's no visible progress, when there's no emotional reward. And this is where dreams don't die loudly, they actually fade, fizzle out. Silence dismantles ego. It strips the borrowed identity, and it forces the question that I've had to ask and you're eventually gonna have to ask too. Would I still do this if no one noticed? That's where faith either matures or dies. Silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. Before expansion, there's isolation. Before promotion, there's obscurity. And before impact, there's endurance. Listen to me. This is the upgrade that everything hinges on. And that is that your identity cannot be tied to outcomes. If success defines you, failure will destroy you. But when our identities are stable, outcomes become information and not judgment. You didn't fail, something didn't work. You weren't rejected, something wasn't aligned. And right here in the silence, you have to make a decision. Will I stay? Will I keep showing up? Will I continue without reassurance? Because this decision, made in obscurity, qualifies you for expansion. Rejection is a filter. It doesn't just test faith, it filters it. It removes the approval dependent, the outcome obsessed, and the half committed. And all that is left is resolve. And resolve is powerful in the best way. Because when we stop needing validation, we stop being controlled by resistance. And that's when unreasonable faith becomes unshakable faith. So if you're still standing after rejection, still trying after disappointment, still believing after delay, I want to tell you, you are not disqualified. You are being refined, and refinement always comes before expansion. So here's our reframe. Delay is not denial. Resistance is not rejection. Silence is not instruction to quit. Unreasonable faith doesn't ask, why is this so hard? It says, who am I becoming because I stayed? And here's your action. Name the rejection that almost made you quit. Identify the meaning that you've attached to it, and decide today what meaning it carries moving forward. Because rejection doesn't disqualify you, it refines you. And if you can believe through the no, you won't panic when the yes arrives. You'll be ready for it. And if you're still here, you're still standing, still believing, drop in the comments, I'm still here. And always remember that growth is a journey, it's not a destination. I'm in it with you. and I will see you on the next one.